Hello, everyone. Tonight, I thought I would do a little live stream because I want to put my thoughts out there on the Legends Con situation. Um, because I think it's very important. It's very relevant in the fandom. Uh, People like Eckhart's Ladder, Corey loses. Corey, he didn't do a video about Legends Con, but he did do one about supernatural encounters. And every time we bring that up, it eventually dives into that subject. Because the two, of course, Job is very much involved with Lexicon too, so of course it's gonna get brought up. But as we all know, about a year ago, it's actually weird. It's been about a year almost since this happened, but Legends Con 2 is canceled. It was scheduled to be held in Arlington, Texas, which is not very far from where I lived, so I was planning on going to it. Hello, Scott. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here, Scott, because you might be able to help me articulate my points here. I'd love to hear your thoughts too. I haven't actually talked to you about this, so um, anyway, it was canceled about a year ago, and I was beyond shocked because I was so looking forward to going because I was going to meet people like Scott, I was going to meet Marcel, I was going to meet Matt, Brennan, Alex, Ken was going to be there. Ken from Vodayon was going to be there. Titus, he had thought about going, but I don't think he could made it. Um, I was going to meet the wonderful guest list that they had prepared, and I think there were supposed to be more announced. I don't remember. I think that some of the social media said that. If not, maybe I'm misremembering. But even if there wasn't going to be any more announced, I would be very much looking forward to it. With what they had prepared already, I mean, Troy Denny, Kevin J. Anderson, Stackpole, uh, Chris Avalone, Barbara Hambly, Corinna Becco, a whole bunch of great people who wrote some. Well, Barbara Hambly didn't write the best book, but I know I've been told that she's a wonderful person. So just, I mean, even if I don't like her books very much, I would still love to have her sign them. Um, but anyway, so that was canceled, and in the years since, about summer of last year, um, uh, Kyle announced that he was pursuing a lawsuit against Legends Expo, which was a separate, independent convention about Star Wars Legends, the expanded universe, ran by some of the people who ran or helped create, or not create per se, but run the first convention. If you don't know, some drama went down. It's always drama going down, right? But between Kyle and some of his directors at Legends Con 1 back in 2023. And he eventually fired them because he did not feel that they were suitable to, you know, be directors at a convention. He felt they were toxic and he ultimately didn't want to work with them anymore. So he fired them. After that happened, hello, Jordan. Um, Kyle continued on with what he was doing, created his own, I don't say his own, but created the second convention, Legends Con 2. And meanwhile, the Legacy Expo people, Legends Expo, whatever the hell they want to call themselves, they can't make up their mind. They started pretty much saying some pretty nasty things about Kyle, and not, more so to ruin his convention. And they started um, stealing, a lot of those social media accounts that they use for their convention were Kyle's accounts, which is why Kyle had to create new accounts. Um, they refused to return because, of course, they had, control over those accounts. but they didn't want to return to Kyle. And it's been a big mess since then. So he pursued a lawsuit because, after the cancellation, he felt that, and he was right, of course, and the courts agreed, but that they were intentionally stealing his brand and his products, and to cause market confusion, and that's exactly what they did. And and even if you look at the Legends Legacy Expo website, which shouldn't be up anymore, but it is. It actually doesn't mention the first convention anymore. It doesn't mention that. Because originally when they were doing Legends Expo, they were calling it the sequel to the first one. But they've since not done that. And they're making it seem like it's like the first of its kind of thing. Now they do have a section at the bottom if you go to their FAQ section, go to the very bottom to the legal section. I could share my screen, but I'm not going to. There's a question here that says, "Are you the same people who did LegendsCon 2023?" And they say here, some of our volunteers are part of the planning team to execute a LegendsCon event in 2023. However, this is a separate event and not affiliated with LegendsCon or any subsequent events planned by Legends Consortium LLC. That right there is so for all the nerds out there that are saying, "Oh, this is the true continuation. This that was not a true continuation. Legends Expo is not a true continuation of LegendsCon. It is a separate event. They even said it. So now they admitted that some of our volunteers are part of the planning team that executed LegendsCon event 2023. They didn't say. In fact, I'm going to share my screen here because this is actually very important. This is very important here. Here, look. FAQ, legal section about legal questions that people might have. Are you saying people did LegendsCon 2023? Some of our volunteers were part of the planning team that executed LegendsCon event 2023. However, this is a separate event. It's a separate event. It's not a part of the first event. Completely separate. These are the people. These people admit it. They admit it. With that being said, we should care about this, Scott, because the people online who are defending Expo are saying these erroneous things like, "Oh, it's a continuation of the first event. These are the true owners." No. The whole point of all this is they're saying that Kyle is not the true owner, but he is. We all know this. But I know you know this, Scott, but I'm putting this out there because I'm getting my thoughts. This is my complete thoughts on the LegendsCon situation. So you may not care about it, but I care about it and I want to talk about it. Of course, it wasn't the only reason. But it was the very primary reason. And had that not happened, had Legends Expo not done what they did, and all the ways they were trying to, and if you need evidence, it's online. You can go to Arthur Lowry's YouTube channel. He has put the court documents out there. You can read the evidence. It's 157 pages of just evidence that Kyle presented before the courts. And then there was and StarWarsTimeline.net, Joe's website, also posted the same thing. So if you need all the evidence, go ahead and look at that for yourself. I'm not going to go through it. But the most recent thing that, well, Scott, I don't say, dude, if this is not your stream for you, then don't watch it. I'm giving my complete thoughts on the situation. If you don't want to listen to it, then that's fine. But I'm going to give my complete thoughts because I want to. This is my channel. Anyway, what was I saying? So what happened was a couple of weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Arthur Lowry started posting on his community posts, about the lawsuit, and it was held back in November, and LegendsCon won pretty easily. And they didn't just win, they won 80 grand. And pretty much the court said for LegendsCon to take down or Legends Expo rather, to take down everything and separate their brand. So, and then shortly afterwards, Kyle on the LegendsCon YouTube channel, which is still up, he posted the official statement talking about the result of the lawsuit and where we're going forward. The point I'm making is this whole war between these two, Kyle and the Legends Expo people. I don't even want to say their names because I think the things that they've said about Kyle's. Yeah, I've talked to Kyle, not a lot. Only I've had a couple conversations with him. I mean, he's a really cool dude, and I've had many conversations with Joe. I've had my issues with Joe and Arthur, but we're all adults at the end of the day. So, and ultimately, what we disagreed over is so minute compared to what we had in common. And what we had in common was we were looking forward to this convention and enjoying it and spending and getting to meet each other. And then a large part of that was ruined because of Legends Expo, because they were salty that Kyle fired them. So, and I'm tired of the misinformation and the hate that's being, I posted this on my community post today. People are saying, well, LegendsCon was doing something illegal by trying to sell supernatural encounters. If that's what you're going to say, cool. But if you're then going to make the same argument that the people who ran Legends Expo also ran the first convention from 2023, you'd have to say that they were breaking the law back then too. Because what was being sold at that convention? Supernatural encounters. In fact, Joe designed, when he found out about Legends Con or whatever, he wanted it to be released around the same time. Supernatural encounters to be released with Legends Con Woman's happening. And that's exactly what he did, so he could help promote it there. Now, I'm not going to get into the argument if that's illegal or not. Frankly, I don't know enough about the law to comment on that. What I will say, probably not illegal though, because Lucasfilm was completely aware of what was going on at LegendsCon, so much so they had authors that were still writing stories for Lucasfilm, Jason Fry, at that convention. Lucasfilm was completely aware of what was going on at that convention. Same with Legends Expo, and they would have been aware of what was going on at LegendsCon too. So if it's so illegal, you think they would have done something about it, especially with their product. If it's an IP infringement or whatever. So the point I'm making is I think Kyle and Joe's reputation, you can say whatever you want about Joe and his book. Okay, his book is one thing, and Joe, I don't think he would care whatever opinion you might hold on his book. But there's a difference between not liking his book or not agreeing with him selling it versus these personal attacks that people have been making against not only him, but of course Kyle, mainly Kyle, but Joe too. So I think it's sad. But I'm really glad about this victory. And I'm really happy for Kyle, for Joe. Of course, all this is done is just pissed. Well, I don't want to say it's all. I mean, it's justice has been served, I think, ultimately, but it's all the Legends Expo fans are all pretty salty online. It's actually hilarious watching them type entire essays worth of text of just crap, toxic crap. I mean, I don't want to name no names. You can probably figure out who they are, but some of them are fairly active online, and it's just really sad. But now for the future, could there be another Legends Con? I hope so. I hope so. Not impossible, of course. Is it likely? I mean, Not anytime soon, but I think in the future maybe. But I hope so. Because I would love to go. Um, but I do know that Matt is. He talked about it in his one of his recent streams that he is planning on doing another. Yeah, it wasn't a convention; it was a fan meetup. I think people were calling it WaruCon. That's what Arthur told me at least. I thought that was funny, but hopefully he'll have it close by again this. Well, I don't know. I don't think it'll be this year, but whenever he does it, hopefully it'll be near me, so I'll be able to go to that. So, but that's all of my thoughts. It's very 15 minutes, I guess, kind of brief. Um, yeah, so that's all I've got. Um, that is true. That is very true. Twin Suns. I mean, it was the meetup was a kind of a donation thing for them, because that was probably one of the biggest losses of all this. Is because I mean, Legends Con, the proceeds were going to go to Twin Suns, and for those who don't know, Twin Suns does a lot of great charity work. They donate books to children in schools, or for children in schools, hospitals, things like that, to encourage reading and writing. Star Wars books, of course, EU books. I don't think they do any Disney canon books. Probably not. Maybe one, maybe a couple, but mostly EU books and comics. So that's the biggest loss of all this, is that Twin Suns kind of lost that. But yeah. I had my reasons. Mainly because I wasn't driving yet. I am now, though. So if it were to happen anytime soon, or within the next, well, yeah, within the next few years, then sure, yeah, I'll be able to go. But that's all my thoughts. I don't have anything else to add, but there is one thing. I want to make it clear that no one is upset with any, like, if you went to Legends Expo, there's nothing wrong with going to it. There was nothing wrong with that. Hell, I probably would have went if I could. Maybe, I don't know. Actually, I don't know if I could say that, but I don't blame anyone if they did go. I know Nazo went. I know he had a great time. That's great. That's awesome. No problem with that. No one here, I don't think anyone has a problem with the idea of 2 Legends conventions. If anything, that's awesome. If there's 2 Legends conventions happening at 2 different parts of the country, that would have been awesome. But that's not merely what it was. It was a lot more than that. It was Legends Expo was just an attempt to get back at Kyle. It wasn't any way of trying to celebrate the franchise. But I know people that went, had a great time, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that, and I'm glad they had a great time. So that's not at all what people are having a problem with. I know that there have been some really immature people online that are going, haha, my convention happened, yours didn't. I really want to say a name, but I'm not going to. Probably figure it out, maybe, hopefully. But anyway, that's all I've got to say. I'm glad the lawsuit happened. I'm glad it went his way. Basically, Legends Expo may have won the battle, but Legends Con won the war. So that's all I've got to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.